Throwback Thursday. Kris Abel is here to talk tech. Kris, do you remember the days when technology was a lot easier? Last week, we talked about those monochrome liquid crystal video games that basically went beep, beep, boop, up, down, left,
Sure.
right. Man, those were good times.
Definitely. Things were simpler then. There wasn't as much technology to deal with, but always a
Right.
new experience.
Always a new experience. So different than the technology of today. And there are certain benchmarks that have come along the way. Obviously, electricity was one of them. And then we had, the phone and, we had the cars. What else? Then we had TV, then
High
color
definition
TV,
TV,
right?
the internet. Oh,
The
yeah.
cell phones, then the internet,
Camera in your
then the
pocket.
iPhone.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
There's been a lot of benchmarks that have come along the way. And when AI has come up in conversation, Kris Abel, the AI benchmark is equivalent to as big as electricity. That's how people have built it. Do you think that's the case?
Wow. I'm not quite sure about that yet because we're not seeing as much of a change. So it's going to be interesting. It may not be as dramatic of a change as something that you're holding in your hand. It might just simply be something that you engage with in terms of the services in your life. We'll see.
There was people back then that wouldn't go into a room with lights because they believed the evil spirits were in the walls going through the wiring. Like, it was scared the heck out of people. And it seems to have turned out pretty okay. Electricity, it worked out for us in the big picture. AI terrifies some people. Some people are excited.
It's like anything. We will get used to the technology. So, I mean, I remember when I was first starting out on Canada Am, one of the big concerns was cameras and phones. Can we ever trust that somebody's not going to take a photo of us when we're getting changed? They had to make sure that the camera made a sound when somebody took a photograph. Today, nobody seems to care that we're all walking around with photos and that somebody can take a photo. Yeah, who cares? That kind of
it turns out the answer to that was no, by the way. The answer was no. You can't trust that nobody's taking your picture all the time. Oh, man, that's crazy. Well, it looks like that, using AI to get voices from famous people, as long as they get paid for it, is starting to become a thing. One of my favorite voices on my Waze app is the surfer dude, man. And then when you make a wrong turn, the surfer dude comes on. That's okay, man. Life's full of mistakes. We're just going to keep on going. And I like that guy. But if you could have a famous person like Judi Dench or someone like that, that's, pumping your tires as you're driving, that's not bad.
And apparently the big SAG actor strike that happened has made a dramatic change for actors to finally allow their voices to be used for AI-based products. So there was a report from Bloomberg that apparently right now discussions are good between Meta, the parent company of Facebook, and a number of Hollywood actors. They mentioned Judi Dench, as you did, Awkwafina, and Michael Keegan-Kay as three that are in talks to be able to do something either for Facebook or Instagram or WhatsApp or one of the places that is owned by Meta that'll be launching in the future. What's key to making those things move forward, though, is that they're going to be paid drastically different. So unlike when Judi Dench gets paid for a movie, as soon as she's done shooting the movie, that's it, right? The movie is released. But when she's recorded her voice to be turned into a digital voice, the voice continues to perform and act like an actor, making new performances. And so the idea is that she will do this only if she continues to get paid as long as that digital voice is used. So think of it as more of a subscription rather than getting a payment. And the same thing is there'll be restrictions in terms of how long they can use it. And if they want to use it again, then they kind of have to renew that subscription. So we'll have to wait and see. Next month, Facebook will have their big annual Connect event in which they will announce all their new big launches. Are we going to see a smart Siri-like product that's got the voice of Judi Dench or Awkwafina? We'll find out.
I got to tell you, if Judi Dench is in my pocket, right, and I don't need to talk to people anymore. I'm just going to talk to Judi Dench. I can't be the only one.
And keep in mind, it's not like the voice is used for GPS where they're just giving you basic instructions. This is a conversational assistant. You can ask her questions about anything and get hopefully relevant answers and smart and savvy ones too.
That's cool. That's mind-blowing. I know Judi Dench. See, she's right here in my pocket. Okay, Scarlett Johansson, though, saw the ugly other end of this.
Yeah, so this gets to be the problem. It's not just about making sure that someone gives your permission to use your voice or pays you for it, but there are companies that kind of skirt the lines in terms of doing homage. So AI, they released a new voice for ChatGPT, and the voice turned out to sound a lot like Scarlett Johansson. They said, no, we're not trying to copy her or anything. It's just, we liked her voice in the movie Her and stuff like that. She sent her lawyers to go talk to them to have them explain how they came up with that voice, to see just how much did they do that organically, or were they really conscious of the fact that they were trying to copy her? And if so, then she expects them to at least pay her or at least compensate her for that. That's the problem in this industry, is that you can end up competing against yourself. And you don't want that to happen. I remember that there have been, Brian Linehan complained that at the end of his career, no one would hire him to do a new television series because reruns of his old ones were still doing very, very well. You don't want to end up competing against a digital version of yourself.
It's a scary, scary business proposition when you think about it, right? You've got to make so many decisions that you have to be careful with because they could last in perpetuity. And you can't allow somebody to own your voice, but you could allow them to use it for one particular piece. That'd be like, I give permission for you to use my face on a pair of socks, but you cannot use it on t-shirts unless you pay for that separately. But for the rest of your business life, you can use my face, at least that picture of my face, on those socks. I mean, that sounds like a pretty good income, but also sounds like a very, very delicate dance.
Very much so, yes. And how do you police that? In terms of, once something's out on the internet, you can't put that genie back in the bottle. So.
Yeah, no kidding. All right, Kris Abel is here. Technology is the conversation. There are a couple tiny tech things that are included in the list here, which I think are really cool. We talked about the Game Boy last week. We talked about monochrome video games. These are like tiny technology things. And if you've ever gone and absolutely loved your Christmas fireplace on the TV at Christmas time, this one doesn't only fit in your pocket, like it's tiny, as big as your fingertips.
So it's a tiny company in the US called tinycircuits.com, and they make little miniature sort of dollhouse versions of popular gadgets. I have their Tiny TV 2, which you can load up. It's like a little television set from the 1970s. It looks like it's a tube, but it's got a little tiny remote, but animations that make it look like you're changing channels when you're merely flipping from one clip to the next. I love it. What they just announced today on Kickstarter is the Thumby Color, which looks remarkably close to the Game Boy Advance. Same sort of shape, same arrangement, but not only does it have a color screen and a speaker and an arrangement of buttons, it also has rumble technology and the shoulder buttons that work. So it's very similar to that. What you look at and you think, does it work the way that it does? It totally does. They just started a Kickstarter today. Opening bid, if you want to get one, is $50 to get this little keychain sized Thumby Color. Already, since it launched at noon, they've earned over $69,000 in pledges. So it's remarkably popular.
This is cool stuff. The tiny violin. We've all heard that joke. What's this? Tiny violin? They actually have a tiny violin.
They do. And they also have, as I mentioned, the tiny television. There have been different versions. So if you want the classic black and white Game Boy, they have that version as well. Very cool company that's doing this using Raspberry Pi technology.
That's good. Raspberry Pis are amazing. All right, before we're done, tell me about the insert coin keychain. You remember back when you used to put your coins in the video game? Well, that's the piece of plastic that's now a keychain for you.
I do love this. So I'm a big arcade fan. That's where I began my video game journey, was in the arcade way back in the days. And so there's this company called New Wave Toys, and they make replicas of arcade machines, as well as the game systems, cigarette machines, all that kind of stuff. They decided to create a little tiny keychain that looks as if you just cut out the insert coin slot from an arcade machine and put it on a keychain ring. So it's cast metal. It's got the illuminated plastic. When you push it, it lights up red. It says insert coin to play. It's great. It's like you're walking around with a little piece of the arcade in your pocket.
And you can finance it at $375 a month if you like. Kris Abel, thanks so much for being here. I appreciate it.
Thank you, man.
Technology in teeny tiny form. Really cool stuff.